Guys, welcome back to Beyond Belief with your host, me, Tyler Redman. I am so excited for you to be here today. I am so ready to jump into all of our topics. I think it's going to be a great show. So let's just jump right on in to a political moment. All right, let's talk about what's been going down in Washington this past week because there's a lot to unpack. And it's the kind of stuff that make you raise your eyebrows and maybe even shake your head a little. So here's the big headline. The White House just went through a major shakeup. President Trump replaced his national security advisor, Mike Waltz, and nominated him to be the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. In his place, Trump appointed Senator Marco Rubio as acting national security advisor. Yeah, Rubio, the same guy who once ran against Trump back in 2016. Now he's handling one of the most sensitive roles in national defense. But the reason for the shakeup? That's where things get interesting. It all started with a leak. Someone exposed messages from a private Signal group chat that allegedly included internal decisions about national security and political strategy. Once that hit the media, it blew up. People across the aisles were asking questions. How secure are these communications? Who's in control of the message? What else could be at risk? Leaders from both parties spoke out. Some Democrats are now calling for congressional hearings and tighter security protocols. A few Republicans have also voiced concerns. Not all of them are towing the party line. But you've got other defending the administration and saying the leak is being blown out of proportion by the media. So, yeah, this isn't a clear cut issue. It's another moment where politics and national security collide, and it's raising real questions about trust and transparency in leadership. Meanwhile, the economy had a bit of a hiccup. The U.S. saw a 0.3% contraction in the first quarter of 2025. Some analysts are linking that to the tariffs President Trump put in place earlier this year. Tariffs that impact everything from electronics to farming equipment. Whether you think tariffs are smart long game or short-term strain, they're starting to show some effects. And people are definitely feeling it, especially small business owners and manufacturers. Now, in typical fashion, there's a blaming game happen. President Trump says the dip in the economy is the result of problems left over from the last administration. Both critics, both political and economic, are pointing straight at the recent policy change. The Senate tried to step in with a resolution to undo the tariffs, but it ended in a tie, 49 to 49, which means nothing changes. The tariffs are still on. And if that wasn't enough, immigration policy is back in the spotlight. Big time. The administration is working to end something called temporary protected status for over 350,000 Venezuelans currently living in the U.S. These are folks who came here to escape real turmoil back home. Courts have temporarily blocked these deportations, at least for now, citing emergency laws and humanitarian protections. But legal battles are already unfolding. On top of that, the Justice Department is suing states like Hawaii and Michigan over their climate laws, specifically one that target fossil fuel companies. The feds are arguing these laws interfere with national energy policy. This is setting up a major showdown between state and federal authority, and we're going to be hearing a lot about it in the weeks ahead. Then there was former Vice President Kamala Harris, who gave a speech in San Francisco, marking Trump's first 100 days back in office. She criticized his policies and direction, especially around immigration and executive power. She even brought up a viral elephant video as a metaphor for what she called willful ignorance. In politics, not exactly your typical political speech, but it definitely got attention. So, what does all of this mean? Here's the bottom line. DC is chaotic right now. We're seeing bold moves, public pushback, legal fights, and some very real consequences that are starting to hit everyday Americans. You don't have to pick a side to see that the stakes are rising on national security, the economy, immigration, and state authority. This isn't just politics as usual. It's a reminder that what happens behind closed doors in Washington doesn't stay there. It trickles down into policies, paychecks, and people's lives. And that's what we talk about here in a political moment. Because staying informed isn't about picking teams, it's about asking better questions, like who's making the decisions, who's being held accountable, and how does it all affect where we're headed? All right, that's the breakdown this week. Keep watching, keep asking, and most importantly, keep thinking beyond the headlines. All right, guys, that's been a political moment. Are you ready for today's topic? We're going to go ahead and dive into something that honestly I believe sits at the heart of almost every issue we're seeing in the world right now. Today's episode is called When Truth Becomes Inconvenient. And yeah, it's going to get a little uncomfortable, but I think that's a good thing. Growth doesn't happen inside your comfort zone. Let's get into it. Have you noticed it too? It feels like we're living in an upside down world where truth, real truth, is seen almost like a threat. Not something people rally around anymore, but something they run from. Something they attack, something they even try to shut down. Why? Because truth has become inconvenient. It gets in the way of whatever narrative people are trying to push. It exposes things that people would rather keep hidden. It forces accountability. And let's be honest, accountability isn't popular right now. In John 8:32, Jesus says, "Then you will know, and the truth will set you free." Not my truth, not your truth, the truth. See, we live in a world that loves slogans like, "Live your truth." It sounds nice. It sounds empowering. But at the end of the day, it's a trap. If we each have our own truth, then there's no foundation. There's no real right or wrong. Everything becomes relative and chaos follows. And we're seeing the fruit of that today. Think about it. A man can say he's a woman. And if you disagree, you are the villain. A child can be told they were born in the wrong body. And if a parent tries to step in, they're accused of abuse. You stand up for biblical marriage, you're labeled a bigot. You protect the unborn, you're labeled extremist. We've gotten to the point where common sense is seen as controversial. And the craziest thing, the craziest part, the truth hasn't changed. Society has. See, truth by its very nature, it is exclusive. It's something, if something is true, that means its opposite is false. And that's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. Because they don't want to be told they're wrong. It's easier to call you hateful than to wrestle with the possibility that their choices, their worldview, their entire way of living might not line up with reality. In 2 Timothy 4:3-4, Paul warns Timothy, and he warns us, that for the time will come when people will not put up with their sound doctrine. Instead, to suit their own desires, they will gather around them a great number of teachers to say what their itching ears want to hear. They will turn their ears away from the truth and turn aside to myths. We're living that right now. People would rather listen to a lie that makes them feel good than a truth that makes them change. Here's where it gets real. As Christians, we don't get the luxury of bending the truth to fit the culture. We're called to stand firm. Ephesians 6 talks about putting on the full armor of God. And you know what's listed first? The belt of truth. Because if you don't have truth, nothing else holds together. And listen, standing for truth is not easy. It's not glamorous. You'll lose friends. You'll be misunderstood. You're definitely getting called names. And you might even lose opportunities. But here's the thing. I'd rather be canceled by the world and approved by God than be celebrated by the world and rejected by Him. We have to be willing to stand alone if that's what it takes, because we're not standing alone. We're standing with God. I'll be honest with you guys. This isn't just something happening out there. This is personal. There have been times where speaking the truth has cost me relationships. There have been moments where staying silent would have been easier, more comfortable, even safer. But every time I stayed silent to keep the peace, it didn't bring me peace. It brought me regret. Every single time. Maybe you felt that too. Maybe you're facing a situation right now where standing for truth is going to cost you something. Let me encourage you with it. It's worth it. It's always worth it. Jesus didn't die on a cross so we could be comfortable. He died so he could be free. And freedom only comes by living in the truth. So let me live by the truth. Every portion of this podcast today has been written by Chatgpt. And so I want to ask you a question. What part of my episode gave you the first insight that this wasn't a person's thoughts? This was AI. If not, if you didn't notice anywhere in this episode at all, are you concerned that you were so easily deceived? That you thought everything here was just thoughts, or even a vague form of a reflection? Does it make you wonder who else is reading straight from ChatGPT? Because I can imagine there are certainly others who are doing something similar in a way that is less obvious. I tried to sell it, but I didn't try to oversell it. You see, because I'm hopeful that you caught on. I'm hopeful that you realize that, hey, Tyler, I've watched your other episodes, and I know there's not a lot. Or, hey, Tyler, I know you personally, and some of this stuff doesn't match up, because I know there's typically more when you try to dig something out, or there's typically something that says, oh, this is Tyler in here. Right? And if it's your first episode, I'm sorry you didn't pick up on that. Or if you did pick up on the AI, I'm happy you were able to. One of the things I am concerned about right now is how quickly we're becoming dependent on things like AI. It can be a phenomenal resource. I've seen the Facebook trends. I've even done it. ChatGPT roasted me, and my feelings are still hurt. I'm not going to lie. It lit me up. It was not a good time. But how far is too far? There's already reports of students using ChatGPT or other AIs to write whole essays. They're writing papers. They're submitting work. We're doing less and less. But also, this opens up an opportunity to where we're being fed less and less truth, which is so funny because the prompt I gave ChatGPT, I said, hey, just write me an episode that would match the format of my podcast, make it long enough for however many minutes, and that's it. Obviously, I didn't tell the AI that, the whole point of this is to say that maybe we shouldn't trust AI with everything. But I find it funny that it spoke on truth. That's what it wanted to end it with, is truth. And the truth is, AI is gathering all this intelligence, right? It's artificial intelligence. Obviously, it's gathering intelligence. It's picking this thought process here and this thought process there. It's going through everything on the internet, every question, every response. It's deciding, oh, this is how they prefer the response. It gave me options, I'm pretty sure, whether I wanted option 1 or option 2. But this is so very dangerous. We live in a world already where we are consumed by social media. And I say that knowing that most opinions are going to be reached through social media if you get to this podcast. That's how I'm going to get to you, is through social media. And yet I'm saying social media is a terror to society, especially when we let it consume us. You see, every social media you're on, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, the other ones, I don't know all their names, but they all want to continue pushing what you liked, what you viewed. They're even tracking your eyes on some systems, on what you're paying the most attention to. They're all trying to feed you more and more of what you like. And while this can be a really great thing, you can find some phenomenal communities out there. At the same time, it closes you off from the rest of the world. In a time in which there is such a lack of communication, there is such a divide in this country and across the world, the lines have never been easier to blur. Because now I'm not reading what the other side thinks. I'm reading something that's been completely congealed into just hate of this is why they think this way. You can't know the other opinion with clarity anymore because there is no clarity. And your social media is a portion to blame. And that's the same thing with this Chatgpt. Think of how many speeches you've heard or how many speeches we're going to hear. And here's the thing, guys. AI is only going to get better. So if you spot immediately that, hey, Tyler, this isn't normal, something's off here. If you spotted that immediately, that's because we're still at early levels. There will come a time where someone will do the same exact prompt I did, and if they perform it with perfection, which some are able to do, you'll never know. You'll never know. So that's why you need to take the initiative now. It's one thing to believe someone that you know, that you trust, that you can verify. It's another just to believe every single clip you see. And I'm probably preaching to the choir for some of you, but some of you may not have ever even considered the fact that those 5 videos you just saw in that situation, the only reason you saw is because you interacted with the first and you liked it. And so the social media algorithm said, oh, they like this. Let me feed them more and feed them more and feed them more. And you continue to receive the same narrative. That's the world we live in. And if we're not feeding into something in that way, we're feeding into distractions. So maybe it's not the political TikToks you're getting stuck into. Maybe it's all the dancing videos or the cooking videos or the gaming videos or the this or the that. And you're continuing to distract yourself. And now you're becoming unproductive. And now you're seeing things in your life slip, but you actually don't care because you're continuing to be distracted. Tyler, how do you know these things? Because I used to have a 12-hour screen time average a week. My daily average was 12 hours. Most of it, TikTok. I haven't had TikTok on my phone through, I think, going on 3 years now. Screen time instantly cut in half. Instantly. My screen time's only so high now because half the time I'm editing stuff for this podcast, whether it be thumbnails or attempting to edit clips or everything else. I want you guys to be mindful of what you're consuming, how you're consuming, and don't just always trust the first source you have. And this is a good lesson for me as well. It's a good lesson for me because it's easy to just jump to the first conclusion you get. But then you can listen to half a podcast episode just to find out that AI wrote it. That being said, the news segment, I had AI write that as well. It's real stories. It's not all my opinion. It's real stories. So again, they're pulling real information. But how is it being leveraged? And how are others leveraging us with AI? Don't just be a consumer. Don't just be a blank space consumer. If you're going to consume this information all over social media, be mindful that it's not telling the full story every single time. And with that, guys, I want to say I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. As always, it's been a blast. This has been a different type of episode, and I hope that's okay. If not, let me know what you would like to see changed. And I will see you very soon. Have a good one.